The Entrepreneur MBA podcast purpose is to help existing business owners grow their companies past the 10 million in revenue per year benchmark. Here is your host, Stephen Halasnik.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Stephen Halasnik, and I'm co-founder of Financing Solutions. Financing Solutions provides easy-to-set-up lines of credit for small businesses. And I will be your host today for the Nonprofit MBA podcast. If you are interested in learning more about a line of credit for your business, which, of course, I would highly recommend. I've had one myself for 25 years. Please visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Over the last 25 years, I've built 6 companies in the $5 million to $25 million range, including 2 companies on the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. I love learning from people with business experience, and today I am very excited to be speaking with Irina Poddubnaia. And Irina, welcome to today's Entrepreneur MBA podcast.
Stephen, I'm excited to be here with you today, and thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited that I pronounced your last name correct. So, that's for me, that's the bigger challenge. It's a bigger challenge for me to pronounce your last name than it is for me to run a business usually. So, let's get into a little bit about your background. Irina is the founder of TrackMage software for which is package tracking that includes sales and customer retention by providing an outstanding post-purchase customer experience. Her journey started from running a fulfillment center in China for 2.5 years, and I might add, without speaking Chinese. And she went to launching a SaaS company completely remotely without external funding and running successfully currently to this day. So what does TrackMage do exactly?
TrackMage actually is a platform that helps e-commerce store owners provide better post-purchase experience by providing shipping updates to the customers. So everything that happens after the buy button is pressed and on the back end. So this is all handled by TrackMage, and it helps e-commerce store owners actually gain more freedom by automating the routine stuff. So it literally just sends those emails to customers about the whereabouts of the package, then asks for reviews on autopilot, and also upsells them additional products while we're looking at the package that's traveling to their destination.
So it's a big problem, huh?
It is a big opportunity, I would say. It's not a big problem for the business that actually handles it well. It's a problem for those businesses that don't provide a good post-purchase experience, and they face customer support requests, like endless customer questions from like various places, because customers don't usually stop at just writing one email. They write multiple when they are looking for information. So it actually eliminates that part of overwhelming customer support requests. What also it does, it prevents customer anxiety and those lingering feelings where people actually press the refund button or charge back, because then you're not sure if something is getting to you. So if your product is going to get there, you're prompted to really take the measures into your own hands. So that's what TrackMage actually handles.
And I know your company's based out of Europe, does it work well internationally?
Actually, it's based in Hong Kong. Because when we started this company, we were back in China, and it was very natural for us to open a company there. So this company is completely location agnostic. We support over 1,000 carrier companies from all over the world. So all the carriers that you can think about, like FedEx, DHL, UPS, PostNL, whichever carrier they are using. So we are also, we have a lot of localization functionality so that the customers can see all the messages in their own language, and their tracking page also in their own language. So we built this company to run internationally from the get-go.
Well, I guess, it makes sense. I mean, I asked that question because packaging is internationally, right?
Yes.
And you're not going to run a local package company that's tracking packages because everyone's shipping all over the world. So it's kind of it must be a fascinating industry. I know you've probably been doing it for a long time, but to see how things get shipped, it is quite amazing, isn't it?
Well, it is, especially when you see the overall shipment volume and how it like actually changes between the different carriers and different destinations. So you can definitely just get a lot of insight by understanding to which destination which carrier should be picked. It's an optimization point where businesses actually can earn money by making good decisions. So if I don't know, like UPS for a certain destination doesn't work, but DHL does, it makes much more sense to select DHL.
All right. Well, good. I mean, I could ask you a million other questions. I love business. It's to me, business and people are fascinating. Like, I always want to know someone's backstory, personally, and also when they have a business. It's fascinating to me. I just think it's great. Let's get into today's topic. And today's topic is strategies that help e-commerce businesses survive in a highly competitive market. So, the number one biggest thing as far as a strategy go to help e-commerce businesses survive in a highly competitive market, what is the number one biggest thing that you think is the most important?
I believe the most important, and it's probably a little bit counterintuitive, it is to have a strong brand and a strong following. Just because when you are in e-commerce and when you introduce new products, you always need to be sure that they are going to sell. And if you are just starting and you're not sure that the product is going to sell, it probably doesn't make sense to invest a lot more money into inventory. So if the business is literally just like some kind of side hustle that the business owner is running to test the waters or to test that the margins are good, it probably makes sense to first make sales and then buy the inventory. So the drop shipping model or something like an arrangement with your supplier. So that's the best part. And if you start from a brand, you literally have the unlimited capacity to sell additional products to the same customer base. So when you're growing a brand and it gathers a lot more attention and a lot more customers that have a good experience with that brand, you have the ability to introduce more and more products to that same customer. And literally, a lot of businesses they start from this crazy idea to sell something like dude wipes. So just those products for men that naturally were always marketed to women. And then they just established the new sub niche or sub niche category, and they gained a strong following. And people support the brand not because they love the product, but also because they love the brand itself and the messaging of it. So the first thing might be just to start from the idea stage, where you don't have to invest a lot of money. You just need to be, you just need to understand your prospective customer, and you need to understand how we are buying and why we're buying.
Yeah, I think, I just did the last uh, podcast I did was about branding, right? And so it's interesting when you say this because it didn't come up in that podcast that I did about branding. But I think about, like, I guess over the last 10 years, I've really got involved in buying from brands that I really, 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 really like. So an example would be this shirt I'm wearing now, right? The company's called Kuhl, Kuhl. And I think I'm a walking billboard for that company. And the reason being is that they make all of their clothing out of a material that's stretchy and that's comfortable to me. And so I know when I buy stuff from them, it's going to be consistently the same way. It fits me well, and it's going. And I'm not telling anybody out there something that they don't already know. But I've noticed that with a lot of different things now, and I think you're right. I think that you have to say, what is it that my brand is going to stand for? What is it that my customers can expect every time they get something from me? And you're right, that's from the drawing board. And then you can't waver from that, right? Is
Yeah.
that is that what you're saying?
Yes, the alternative way would be to just start a company that's going to be, I don't know, catering to the current trends. So then you just do some research on Amazon and see what sells well, and then you come up with a product with a tiny detail that's going to stand out from the crowd, but it's still pretty much the same product. And you understand that it's going to sell, of course, but are you going to build a sustainable business out of it? But what if that product just goes out of fashion? Or what if the seasonal demand is not going to be there all the time? That's why a lot of dropshippers and a lot of people who are just getting in e-commerce, they start from seasonal demand. They just sell, for example, Christmas trees when it's close to Christmas. But with seasonal demand, you don't really build this sustainable business. It's just like this huge wave of orders. When you fulfill them, then that's it. That's the end of your business. And that's why it's much more sustainable to think long term. So I've seen some interesting examples where the business was built around an idea that all the customers love cats. And then they built a store that sells cat merch, like the T-shirts, the caps, the I don't know, like all the little figurines, and they never really ran out of ideas what to sell, because like probably cats are the most lovable animals on the internet, and that's why there is an unlimited supply of different merchandise that can be introduced. And they even do certain things like drops. So they create a merchandise like specifically themed, for example, for Halloween, and then they drop that merchandise to never reintroduce it again in the line. So that's very similar to fashion. But when it comes to e-commerce, it's very hard to sustain the same amount of sales regardless of the seasonality.
You
So
think that? I'm sorry. Finish you're
Sure,
saying.
sure, sure. I was just saying that, like, regardless of seasonality, in digital first world, we need to think about scarcity as well. Because the customers, when they have infinite choice of products that they can buy, why would they buy your product right now? Because, well, it's never going to be on sale again. That's it.
Yeah. Do you think that because everything has gone, that so many things have gone, do you think branding has become a bigger deal now because of the internet? Or, I think it has, to be honest with you. And I just for the stupid reason that, when I order something, it's such a pain in the neck to return it. I want to make sure that I'm getting the right stuff, that I don't want to have to return it. It
Hmm.
sounds stupid, but so my question to you is, do you think the internet and e-commerce, with the word e, uh, has made branding even more important than it used to be?
I believe that's the future, and that's why certain companies in the market, right now they are just probing the trends, and they see that the creators are the future. Because a lot of creators, they start their own online stores and they start to sell the merchandise of their brand, their personal brand, or with some other idea that they have. And those creators, they literally generate the demand. People buy from them just because they want to buy, not because they need that product, but because they want. It's an impulse buy. And that's very hard to compete with certain offline stores like Walmart or some bigger outlets where you can just have an infinite choice of t-shirts. Like, it's really hard. But when you sell something that's unique and it stands out and you will never be able to get it elsewhere, that makes it a very strong reason for the buyers to buy it online and buy it from that specific brand. And of course, back to your point, when you already made the choice and you have your preference when it comes to a brand, you will probably not think twice about, like, are you buying from your favorite brand or from the other brand that you don't know anything about, like, for example.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, like, the branding that you do for your business. Tell me some of the highlights of the things that you think really, like, when you focus on branding. Tell me some of the things you focus on.
So right now we're going through this big rebranding for our own service. I started from the narrative as well. So TrackMage is all about freedom. And it's not very obvious because we are dealing in the supply chain, shipment tracking, upsells, and etc. It's just the features that we have. But what is at the core of the brand that I want to create? It's not yet there. It's not yet fully implemented how I want it. But it's this feeling that whenever you start your e-commerce business, you don't have to be a slave to your business. You don't have to just track all the packages yourself, communicate to every single customer. You don't have to routinely just like copy paste all this information. So with automation, you can just free yourself out of this routine that is really, I mean, it's soul sucking, I would say. Because TrackMage, for me, originally started back in China when I was running a fulfillment center and I was packing the boxes. I was checking all those statuses. I was communicating to all those suppliers. And it was really like this self servitude that I created that I didn't really have to do. And at that point, I realized that for the best reasons, when we get into business, we actually want to create freedom for ourselves, not more work for the sake of work. And that's why TrackMage, like right now, we're focusing on just showing that we got you, like we got your back when it comes to processing and fulfillment and shipment tracking and customer support. So that's the idea. So you can focus on the stuff that truly matters, like maybe your marketing or creation or spending time with your family. Regardless of what you choose, it's going to be your choice, not just like, I don't know, like shipment tracking, sending emails to customers, and etc.
So tell me something. I know this is going to be a unusual question and hard, which is certainly my MO. But tell me something that you think you're struggling with on your brand right now.
Well, I guess it would be consistency with the messaging because whenever I explain to all our like virtual assistants and other marketing personnel what the messaging is, it's really it really comes down to this vision. I lived this life. I lived through creation of this product, and I know how it works, and I know everything basically in this company. But when it comes to communicating it to another person, it's trickier, and there needs to be a system and standard. So what we have right now is we just literally set up the branding guidelines. We had like lengthy kickoff calls with all the people who are getting involved, and well, branding needs to be consistent and it needs to communicate in a single voice, not in a variety of different voices with very sparse messaging. So that's what I'm struggling with, just consistency.
When you're working on your branding, when you're kind of addressing it and you're talking about uh, making improvements, do you put it in writing? Do you have a branding sheet, so to speak, where you're putting it all down, saying this is what we stand for, this is our mission, this is our purpose, this is what our products need to do, that type of thing?
Yeah, countless of times, I would say, even because I've been writing, rewriting, writing, rewriting. I also have a book in the making that's going to help e-commerce store owners just literally understand how it goes from like point zero to the biggest possible outcome, where they have I don't know, their private label, and they have to manage inventory and multiple locations and etc. So like it literally started from just this consistent effort of writing everything down and making sure that it makes sense, because yeah, without that, it's really hard to stay consistent, and it's really hard to communicate the same thing to the other people who are working in the business.
Yeah, I need to see it in writing. So like I would say 90% of the business owners I know, and I know a lot of business owners, like hundreds and hundreds, thousands maybe. Um, it's very unusual for them to keep a business plan, right? And I'm a firm believer that uh, people who have business plans that's in writing, that's reviewed often, have a less chance of failure. And this is the reason why I believe in it, because it helps me. But it comes to the point about getting something in writing. I also believe in keeping it short too. Like I believe in a 1-page strategic business plan, right? I don't believe in a 30-page strategic plan. So do you follow a methodology for your branding from somebody else, or did you just kind of make it up on your own based on what you thought you wanted?
Well, when it comes to our own brand, I literally started from some tutorials on the internet. I wouldn't be lying and saying that I picked some specific methodology. So it was we started from the brand book where we discussed the messaging, and we discussed the uh, key characters that are going to represent the brand, and the colors and all this stuff. So it was literally just me and the designer discussing it back and forth, and then introducing that to the team, and then indicating them, and it just escalated with step by step process.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so it was
and then
gradual adoption.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, fair enough. That's cool. All right, so we talked about the first thing, and that is in regards to successfully competing in an e-commerce marketplace, that you need to have a brand. You need to stand for. You need to know what your brand stands for. Everything having to do with branding. That's number one. What would you say number two is?
Well, the number two, with the current circumstances, I would say would be either customer retention or inventory. Because one and the other, they are both competing for the second place. So when it comes to customer retention, because we are entering a recession, and some people argue that we are already in recession, that we need to really figure out a way to not only acquire new customers, but also retain them in the business. So the more customers we retain, the less we have to spend on acquiring new customers to just continue getting existing figures that we're getting every month. So that would be one. And the second one would be inventory, because with the current supply chain challenges, uh, like customers, they tend to even refund the purchases that are getting to them in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And with shipping from China, that's a really long time, for example. And that's why it probably makes sense to source locally, or at least buy it beforehand and then distribute between the customers. Some very bold marketers, they try to resell Amazon even just to cut that last mile delivery. So they literally just resell the products that they buy from Amazon. So I would say that these two are very closely related, and they might make or break the business in this trying time.
Yeah, so it was customer retention, and what was the second word? It was it inventory
Yes,
or
inventory. Yes,
inventory? Okay,
inventory.
I'm sorry. Very good. And the thing about customer retention too is, I think even if you're I think early on in your business, if you really focus on customer retention, it really will build your company so that the next person coming on board will stay longer too, right? So customer retention has the ability to really shine a light on what your company is not doing good at, or also shows you the things that you are doing really good at for marketing. So that you, like, if you talk to a client, you really get to know them. Why do you like us? Why don't you like us? You know, those things. If they find out why they like you, then you can say, oh, well, now I can use that in my marketing. Not that person, not a testimonial, but this is the thing that caught their attention about us. And so I think always learning about your customer allows you to grow a business that's, you know, really responsive to customer needs, which is like a no-brainer, right? Like, I think this second part that you're talking about, customer retention, right? It is like when you say, oh, like, okay, yeah, well, of course, but it's probably the thing that people forget about the most because you're always trying to get new customers, right?
Right. That's definitely true. And marketers, they make every effort to sell you this dream of like, oh, you need the next sales funnel, or you need the next best thing that is going to get you more customers. But if you are not retaining any customers, it's almost like it's
Yeah.
literally a funnel where you drop, like the more water you drop, like the more water just comes out of the other end. But it doesn't it doesn't get accelerating, and it doesn't really grow. So what we've been seeing is that the other model really works better. So instead of thinking of your marketing as a funnel where you like attract more customers and then you convert them and then that's it, you should think about it as a flywheel. Originally, this term was introduced by HubSpot when they were thinking about like what they were doing with their marketing and how it was different. So they just had to reinvent the funnel. So instead of a funnel, this one is circular. So you just get the same customers buying again and again from the same company. And that's how you get those loyal fans and loyal customers for life. Because you treat your customer support and everything that comes after the purchase, the service side, as part of marketing. And you don't treat it as a cost center, but as a profit center. Because you
Yep.
understand that every customer retained is 5 times more valuable than every new customer that you acquire. Just because it's 5 times cheaper to retain a customer than it is to acquire a new customer.
What do you do during your day, your week, your month to understand why customers leave? What do you do? What do you watch?
Mm.
What do you look at?
Well, actually, it just depends on if we're talking about the businesses of our customers when we do optimization, or if we're talking about TrackMage itself, because software as a service is very different from e-commerce. So I would just want to clarify which one you're more interested in.
Well, I would say both, but you know, what do you pay attention to notice customer retention?
So the first one would be the churn rate, of course. So when you have a customer that only bought once, that's just like one-time purchase, and the probability of them buying again is only 27%. Then if you manage to convince that customer to buy 2 times, the probability of them buying for the third time is 47% higher than the previous. So it's
Hmm.
like 147, I would say. And then if you would say, if you convince them to buy 2 times in a row and then the third one, the probability is 57%. So they're staying there. They're customers for life. And I've seen that in my own behavior as well. So when I buy from a certain brand, there is a huge chance that I'm going to buy from them again. If I like the product and I like the service and I like what the brand stands for, that's exactly what's going to happen. So, of course, it depends on what kind of offer they are introducing next. Uh, but again, the probability is still on their side because I already bought from them. I got a good experience. I know what to expect, and this is exactly why I'm buying. So,
I,
yeah.
I like, I love where you went because I tell you, when I meet other business owners, I'll know how good of a business owner they are often when they can, off the top of their head, tell me ratios, statistics. It shows me that they know their business, right? Um, and knowing KPIs, key performance indicators, all of those things. Do you ever call up a client and say, "Hey, why did you leave us?"
Well, we don't call. We usually just send emails, and yeah, well, it's been effective sometimes. But the customers, they tend to not even share why they left. That's why we've been using some behavior analytics tools, something like Hotjar, where you can literally see what the customer clicked and what happened. And we've been really improving the interface based on what we've seen the customers actually do on the pages versus what we actually imagined they should do. There is a famous, meme on the internet about the three cats and the bowls, like the customer intuitive interface, and then how the customers actually behave. You can Google that one if you haven't seen. So the thing is, so for software as a service, it just needs to be convenient and it needs to do what it tells it's going to do. So that's exactly the KPIs that we have for ourselves. And that's how we measure if the customers actually get the result that they are after with the system. So it's definitely like it's just a balance between understanding what the customers really want and making sure that we actually exceed the expectations. So I'm always brainstorming like what we could do differently from the competition and what we could do slightly better than everyone else.
So we have a couple of minutes left, and let's get a third one in.
Yeah.
We talk about branding, we talk about customer retention, and also acquiring new clients, of course. But what do you think the third top thing is for e-commerce companies to do to be successful in a competitive marketplace?
Well, I probably already mentioned it. So, like the inventory. So that's what going to be really important. So that's just because of the supply chain issues, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't really know. We don't really know when it's going to change, depending on the situation. So when COVID first started, everyone was saying like, "Oh, it's the trying times." But actually, the e-commerce side, like everyone was like steeply
Yeah.
growing and like everything was booming just because everyone was locked in their homes and they had to buy stuff online. So that's the that's what we're not seeing right now. So this is kind of like rebound, and we are not getting the same amount of like crazy sales that we've been getting in e-commerce. So with inventory, you really lower the probability of the customer actually refunding the purchase because we're getting that faster.
Yeah.
So sourcing locally or making sure that you have enough stock to at least send it to the customer right away. That's very important right now. And previously, that was the age of drop shipping, where everyone was sourcing from China, and everyone was really happy with how high the margins were. But right now, it's no longer the case because whenever the customer is really waiting for 1 month, 1 month and a half, the probability of them refunding their purchase is close to 100%, regardless of what you do. So that's why it probably makes sense to really optimize your supply chain for faster delivery and make sure that you have enough stock just to supply to the customers when they buy.
Yeah, it's certainly it's a really good point because it's certainly become a competitive advantage to be able to deliver the product in a reasonable amount of time because it's such well I you could also say too that competition from like Amazon has raised that bar because
Yes.
I mean if Amazon delivers it tomorrow and another company delivers it in 2 weeks, it's just Amazon has changed how the expectations of the customer, right?
Yes.
And so, I wouldn't have thought of that as, delivery time. I think if you're in e-commerce, you think about it all the time because you probably get cancellations of orders because if it's going to take too long, right?
Yes.
Um, so do you think well, I'll ask this differently. Was If I had asked you the same question 4 years ago, would you have said inventory was one of the top three?
Mm, I would say that probably marketing or sales would have taken that part, just because it was more important to get the customer, and then the fulfillment was a secondary thought.
Yeah, yeah,
And right now, literally just changes the landscape, because if the customer is not getting the product, it doesn't matter how good your marketing was and how low your cost of acquisition was, because you've lost money automatically there. Because the customer, if they refund and they don't really like, that doesn't result in some positive cash flow for your company. So that's
yeah,
why in the current landscape, really, you need to source locally, or use some fulfillment centers that are closer to your customers, and that it cuts down the delivery time. And back to your point about Amazon being the juggernaut that really changed the industry, and they literally raised the expectations higher. What they do is they literally involve the customer in the like all the updates about the order. You never have any surprises about when that product is going to be delivered and when they are going to get it. And they even have a Alexa assistant replying
yep,
to all the questions about the product. So that's what the current expectation is. But when we're talking about household brands, or some brands that are not present on Amazon, or that's not their only distribution channel, uh, we still need to provide that same sort of customer experience for the shoppers. We still expect to get the proactive updates about the order delivery date. And they still expect some good customer support on the back of it all. Because, like,
yeah.
yeah.
I would. I'm going to tell you something though. I first time I ever saw it, I use Amazon a ton, and they did screw up once where they. Sorry to say once, but they screwed up with me where they told me a product was going to be shipped in a month, and I got it the very next day. So it was a big screw up on their part because when I found out, I guess through the email that it was coming in a month, I canceled it and I ordered it from another company, which was an Apple Watch, right?
Hmm.
It was expensive, right? And then it still showed up the next day. So I had to return it and stuff like that. So it's the first time I've ever seen them make a big mistake like that. That was pretty serious. So, yeah. Well, listen, it was good stuff. I think I learned a lot. I don't know a ton about e-commerce, so I thought it was really, really interesting. I did own a SaaS company for a long time, and boy, SaaS companies are great. They're just great businesses. It's a lot of fun to run. Um, so I'd like to thank so very much Irina Poddubnaia for coming on today's podcast. Her company is TrackMage. It's TrackMage. I actually looked at your website while we were talking. It looks good. I like it. And if you like today's podcast, please feel free to share it with a friend and also subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. And please also give us a review if you really liked our podcast. 5-star reviews are much appreciated. It helps us get the word out. And if you're looking for a line of credit for your business, please call us at 862-207-4118 or visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Irina, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
The best way would be through our website. It's www.trackmage.com. Then I'm also Googleable, I would say. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I would gladly connect with everyone who's interested in any sort of collaboration. So, yeah, these are probably the best places to find me and TrackMage.
Good. Thanks. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So I think the takeaway from me today was something that Irina said about customers. And, everybody knows that you need to be customer focused, right? But if you can get really, really, really detailed about understanding your customer and making that a company culture, and I think it just drives you as an e-commerce company to be like the best. I mean, how many books do we need to see about that topic before, you need to really, really focus on it, bringing it to another level? And I think that's what makes your company going to be really outstanding to be able to compete in a competitive marketplace. It's about doing it better than somebody else. That's the key.